Florida Sportsman Magazine. Now, here they are.
Good afternoon, my unconventional conventionists. Come with us for an hour of fun chat and hopefully a few laughs. And if you're unfamiliar with our show, we keep things positive and uplifting, leaving all the negativism and loudness to others. There's plenty of that on the airwaves and social media, if that's your bag, right?
Absolutely. The TAN Talk Radio Network consists of 3 radio stations airing on 3 a.m. and 3 FM signals that blanket all of Tampa Bay, Florida's second largest radio market.
That's right. South Florida's number 1. We're number 2. But we're coming at you live from the diamond-encrusted studio of WTAN in Clearwater. We're also live on Facebook at the Kelly Show page. The show can be seen and heard on the TAN Talk Radio Network's YouTube channel. And each show is podcast for posterity in case you can't be with us on any given Monday, and also for expats of Tampa Bay who like to stay connected to their hometown.
Absolutely. And we're joined today by Big Ed Davis, the executive producer of the TAN Talk Radio Network. How you doing, Ed?
Monday.
Monday.
Well, I wasn't going to sing it.
Yeah, thank you. I'll give you $5 if you don't.
Deal.
We've got a close scare. Can you imagine being ahead 24-3 in the fourth quarter? Well, late in the third quarter, and you almost lose the game to the Buffalo Bills.
Any hair I had in my head that wasn't gray, we went over, you know.
I mean, at the halftime, I figure a 21-point lead. The Bucks, what's it going to end up, a blowout? They sat back, and the Bills, give them credit. They came right up their tail, tied it 27-27, and luckily the Bucks pulled it off in overtime.
But one of the things you have the luxury of doing with a guy named Brady is, I mean, you never want to get cocky, but at one point you could probably, when he's got the ball last,
you
can put your feet up on the coffee table, grab whatever you're drinking, sit back and enjoy the ride because it's going to end nicely.
Well, I'd already
usually, but it's just, I've been covering football a long time. I've never seen anything like this before.
See, I didn't have a coffee table I could put something on because I'd already overturned it early in the broadcast. But anyway, we'll talk more about that later if we have some time. But I want to mention my alma mater, the University of Miami, just hired Mario Cristobal as its new head coach. Mario used to be an offensive lineman for the Miami Hurricanes back in the early 1980s. Went on to coach with Nick Saban at Alabama and some other tours of duty, and was the head coach at the University of Oregon and brought them to some prominence in the last 3 years. Hopefully, Mario can mold the Hurricanes into a contender for national championships. It's been over 20 years since the 5th of Miami's 5 national championships have been won.
Wow, that long.
Yeah, it's been a drought, that's for sure. But
we'll be back in a few minutes with our guest today, but first see if you know the answer to this. True or false? The largest pumpkin pie ever made weighed 3,699 pounds. The answer right after this.
This is the TAN Talk Radio Network.
In 1955, the law firm now known as Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes made a decision. Instead of taking whatever cases came through their doors, they decided to focus specifically on personal injury. 64 years later, the law firm is one of Clearwater's longest-running personal injury firms. Available 24 hours a day with offices in Clearwater and throughout Tampa Bay, they're ready to put decades of experience to work for you if you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or injured due to someone's negligence or recklessness. If you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, or unsure about your next steps after being involved in an accident or after a loved one sustained serious injuries due to someone else's negligence, call Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes at 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. That's 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. Non-attorney spokesman. Do you know what a truly special blog is? It's a website that's rated as one of the best in Florida, chock full of fantastic articles, humor, videos, and hundreds of cool pictures. So what blog is creating all that buzz? It's ColorfulClearwater.com, a blog on the internet created by Kelly. In only its second year, ColorfulClearwater.com is gaining in popularity every day due to its original writing and original videos and photography. It's updated several times per week with fresh content and includes everything about the color, culture, and vibrancy of Clearwater citizens and businesses. Even though it covers just one city in Florida, ColorfulClearwater.com nonetheless is already outperforming blogs promoting tourist destinations and major sports teams. Hey, see for yourself. Give a visit to ColorfulClearwater.com and make it your source of enlightening insights and entertainment. That's ColorfulClearwater.com.
Shop the largest selection of Guy Harvey apparel, artwork, and gift items at GuyHarvey.com. From the world-renowned marine wildlife artist, the Guy Harvey online shop features the latest in performance apparel, classic Guy Harvey t-shirts, decor for every room in your home, exquisite ocean-inspired jewelry, and unique gift items, including custom merchandise not available anyplace else. Browse an extensive catalog of original Guy Harvey works of art and a full range of beautiful reproductions. As with all Guy Harvey merchandise, a percentage of sales benefits the ocean conservation, research, and education work of the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation. The Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation will help ensure that future generations can enjoy and benefit from a well-balanced ocean ecosystem. Bring the undersea world into your everyday life at GuyHarvey.com.
Clearwater is bright and beautiful, and Amplify Clearwater is here to serve and lead. For over 400 years, chambers of commerce around the world have been champions of free enterprise, job creation, and community response. Representing over 800 businesses in every type of industry, the work of Amplify Clearwater is broad, diverse, and dynamic. We gather insight from across our community in order to meet the needs of our employers citywide while helping shape the Clearwater of tomorrow. We need your input to help support our community and grow our economy. We have opportunities in a variety of categories, from visitor experience to public policy, special events, and more. Come be a part of these exciting initiatives with Amplify Clearwater by contacting us at 727-461-0011 or by visiting us online at www.amplifyclearwater.com today.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Well, thank you for tuning in and sticking with us on the Kelly Kelly Show. I'm Doug Kelly with wife and better half co-host Kelly Kelly. Mm-hmm. And we're here with Big Ed Davis handling the control room for the Tan Talk Radio Network and for our show. And just before the break, Kelly asked if it's true or false, the largest pumpkin pie ever made weighed 3,699 pounds. The answer, believe it or not, is true.
Absolutely. And that included no whipped cream.
It did not.
It did not.
Crust.
It was 20 feet in diameter.
Huh.
And it was made in New Bremen, Ohio.
I see. Okay. You took a deep dive into the research. Good girl.
I know. I want answers.
All right. Very good.
Our first guest today is new to Tampa Bay. He just took over the job as city manager of Clearwater. John Jennings has a much different background than most city managers, and we're going to find out all about that.
And for those who don't know, Clearwater has a management council form of government, meaning that in this case there's a 5-member city council in Clearwater that oversees the city manager and the city attorney. And Clearwater has about 1,800 employees, give or take, and many different departments. I think John said 22. So the job requires a very efficient manager. And so we're here to chat with him.
Absolutely. John Jennings, who spells his first name Jon, has been on the job about a month. John, it's a pleasure having you with us today on the Kelly Kelly Show.
Oh, thank you so much for the invitation, and I'm so pleased to be here.
Very good. Well, that's enough of the interview. Thank you for being with us. You can go home
I didn't
now.
get my gift yet, so.
You get a toaster on your way out.
Okay.
Okay, first off, tell us where you were born and raised.
I was born in a small town in Indiana, Richmond, Indiana. Really blessed to grow up in the Midwest. My mom was a single mother, and I had 5 siblings. We did not have money. In fact, I remember going monthly to where you get the big box of cheese. I think it was from the county welfare department, if I remember correctly, and I'm actually the first person in my family to graduate high school and go into college. So I ended up going to Indiana University as an undergrad.
That's given you a great anchor in life, really.
Oh, it's,
I mean, you can empathize with those who are without.
Yeah, and it's, it's also because I had an incredible mother. My mom was, even though we did not have a lot growing up, we never felt that, and she always stressed that we had an obligation to help others who were less fortunate. I mean, it was part of the faith that we grew up with, but also her insistence on, just making sure that we're also looking out for other people, which is in many ways kind of what ultimately led me to government, the ability to really make an impact on people's lives.
Fantastic. What's your educational background?
So I went to Indiana University in Bloomington as an undergrad, which is where I have this, as you mentioned earlier, I have this incredibly strange professional career where I started working for a very mild-mannered man by the name of Bobby Knight.
Oh my God!
He was the head basketball coach
at IU.
He was a chair thrower,
right? Across
yes,
across
he
the court.
was, among other things. And so I actually got my start in basketball through Coach Knight.
Isn't that something?
And then I also went to Harvard, the John F. Kennedy School of Government, and got my master's degree.
Fantastic. I actually met Bobby Knight. He used to come down to the Florida Keys, and he loved to fish.
Oh, yes.
And one of his fishing partners was the great Ted Williams, the baseball player. And he was down there a lot fishing. He loved it.
Yeah, he actually, Mr. Williams used to come to practice periodically. And when I moved to Boston to work for the Boston Celtics, I met Mr. Williams on many occasions. And so it's amazing how things go full circle in life.
Can I tell you a quick Ted Williams story?
Oh.
I was a kid at Homestead Air Force Base, and we went to the base store, the main retail store there, and Ted Williams was doing an exhibition. And he got about 30 feet away from a basket, about 2 feet wide, the basket, and he had a plug rod, with a plug that had no hooks on it, and he threw it 10 consecutive times right into the basket. He moved back 10 feet. He did it again. He moved back another 10 feet. He made 9 and missed the last one. And he said, the wind got that one. But, what was amazing for anyone who, of course, Ted Williams was dead for quite a while, and whatever, but his voice was not what you would expect. It was sort of like this, sort of high-strung, kind of like that. But he was quite the character. But that's wonderful that you got to meet him. And
yeah, Coach Knight used to say that, it's amazing to be the greatest at one thing, but Mr. Williams was the greatest hitter and the greatest fly fisherman.
He was 6'3". He could stand on the bow of the boat and spot fish as better than the guides could.
Yeah.
And he had 20/10 vision.
Wow.
He could see the seams on a baseball as it flies.
Right.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's remarkable. Well, before you became city manager for Portland, Maine, we'll talk about that in a minute. You mentioned that you were involved in a number of enterprises. You talked about actually being in the restaurant business at some point.
Yes, it's as we talked about earlier. It's been a long, strange trip, as Jerry Garcia would say. So after undergrad, I went to work for the Indiana Pacers, which continued my basketball career. I was the video coordinator and did some scouting for the Pacers. And then in 1985-86, I got a job with the Boston Celtics as a video coordinator and scout for the team. And we won the NBA championship that year in 1986. And so it's pretty heady stuff for a 22-year-old.
Wow.
And I just continued in the organization. The second most important person in my life, after my mother, I met. His name was Red Auerbach.
Oh, sure.
Red.
Sure, I know the name well.
Yeah, he was Coach Knight was a disciple of Red, and so Red, my first year was really tough on me, and it was really him challenging me to see if what I was made of and things like that. And I remember Red used to love the show Hawaii Five-0, and he would sit in his office.
Jack Lord.
Oh yeah, the Jack Lord one, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And So he used to make me videotape episodes of Hawaii Five-0. And
That's too much.
and so yeah, and then unfortunately I made this really dumb mistake of editing all the commercials out, and he made me start
Make them
editing
back.
all the commercials. No, he didn't want the commercials.
I
He had
see.
never seen that done before.
Oh, I
so
gotcha.
so every episode I had to edit the commercials out. But
That's
I
too
grew, but he really, I mean, all the things that I've done from really creating organizations and understanding people, you know, it's he used to talk with me all the time about, you know, he had Bill Russell, Bob Cousy, Tommy Heinsohn, Casey Jones, Sam Jones. But he always talked about how you can never, ever treat everyone the same. And this is, you know, really kind of organizational development ideas that, so Bill was hypersensitive. He never, ever wanted anyone to scream at him. And Cousy was like that as well. And so Red used to tell me that he would scream at Tommy Heinsohn to get to the other guys. And that was the way in which, you know,
Indirect screaming.
yeah, you know, so it was, you know, Tommy kind of relished being screamed at. And then, of course, I got to know all of them, you know, later in
Well, I
their
heard
lives.
Bill Russell was like a super person. Is that true?
Yes, I've known Bill, 30 plus years, I guess it's been. And, you know, Red used to tell the story that Bill used to throw up before every game.
No kidding.
And there was one big game, and he hadn't thrown up, so Red made him go into the bathroom and make himself throw up because it was like this, you know, superstitious thing. But no,
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
Bill was an incredibly, or is, I mean, he's still with us, an incredibly proud man. Had seen a lot in the Boston area, unfortunately, back in the 50s and 60s and 70s.
Discrimination. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually he was just there in Boston. He auctioned off a lot of his memorabilia over the last week in Boston.
Now, how about Larry Bird? Did he come in after you were there?
No, Larry was there. So
was there
Larry
too?
and I are both from Indiana, and you know, I've been friends for a very long time. And
So what's he like?
oh, I love Larry
Do
because
you?
you know
Is he
it's
taller than you?
oh yeah, just a little bit, 6'9".
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, so Larry, I really admire the heck out of him because, again, I've been so blessed in my life to have been around greats and to see how they operate, and so with Red, you know, that in my opinion he's the greatest professional coach ever, but he also did things like integrating the NBA and hiring the first African American coach. You know, he was doing social things, societal things, long before anybody else even talked about it. Larry was very similar in that he grew up very poor. His dad had committed suicide.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and left his family destitute. And he was just a laser focus, kind of like Brady reminds me so much of Bird.
Intensity.
I mean, just an undeniable will to win. I mean, we saw that last night, you know,
Yes,
with
exactly.
the overtime. But you know, for Larry, you know, he's also got the hillbilly side to him as well, which is, you know, we used to joke around because I'm from the middle part of the state, and you know, he's from southern Indiana, and you know, that's of course. You know, I'm from the more sophisticated part of Indiana.
So you got to needle him a little bit.
Oh
huh?
yeah. So, but no, Bertie had he had an agreement with a Chinese restaurant in Boston where he would come in and sign autographs for one day a year, and he'd get free Chinese food for the rest of it. So
That's not bad.
the rich get richer, right? So no, it was a phenomenal experience to be with the Celtics at that time, and I ended up being a bench coach and coached in the NBA All-Star Game. Actually, coached Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley, who became a dear friend.
He's a character.
Oh,
What a great
Charles.
commentator, color commentator. He's awesome.
He he almost got me into big trouble in Milwaukee
He's
once.
got a lot of people
You
in
know, I was
trouble.
like,
Yeah.
I gotta get out of here before things get out of hand. So,
Yeah. Now he's
so,
not afraid of telling it like it is, and that's what makes him interesting.
yeah,
No doubt about
it's
it.
people who have had a little bit too much to drink at times. So,
Yep. That exacerbates things a little bit.
yeah.
How was your tenure as city manager of Portland that began in 2015?
You know, it was really one of the more challenging experiences I've had. You know, I think it's Portland, and still is undergoing a battle, if you will, of what the soul of the city wants to be.
Looking for its identity still.
Well, it's actually more kind of the extreme left, the socialist side, wanting to kind of create a Portland, Oregon, or a Seattle in Portland, Maine, and then there are those of us who are kind of more down the middle. And my job, all I'm trying to do is make sure that we're doing the core services of government, right? You know, trying to make sure your trash is picked up, your roads are paved and plowed, and things like that. So, you know, it was a very difficult tenure in some ways. In other ways, it was incredibly rewarding.
But it was highly politicalized, is what you're basically saying.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that kind of what we see on the national level had crept into the Portland's politics, and really just, you know, just some not so great things.
Now that causes a lot of bitterness and divisiveness, and it's hard to unite when you have factions that tough and just won't let go and won't compromise. That's too bad. But you're here with us, so
I'm so happy to be here.
we're glad you're down here.
We're excited.
Matter
In
of
fact, in many ways, I've never been in prison, but it's like I feel like I've been released from prison and I've gone to paradise.
The yoke has been
yeah.
yeah, the yoke has been torn off. As Ed said, what was that, Ed?
I say he probably feels like he's been paroled.
There you
Yeah,
go.
right.
There you go. Well, matter of fact, I understand you only applied for one position when it became available. That was of Clearwater City Manager. What is it about Clearwater that motivated you to do that?
Just look around. I
Yeah.
mean, it's, you know, one of the, actually many of the things. So I had come here as a tourist over the years, but honestly hadn't paid much attention to Clearwater, the city. I remember, you know, the beach had all the little motels and
Yes.
Yeah.
and back in the day and
Mom and pop places.
Yeah. But I just, one of the things that I wanted to do, I came here in July and I wanted to get to know the city and the people. And so I was here for about I was here for 4 days and talked with a lot of people. And what I found, and what I find every single day here, is the people are incredible. A lot of Midwesterners, which of course
You relate to that?
I absolutely do. And people are so kind. They're very supportive. They really want to have the best things happen for our city. And so, you know, of course, like any place, people can be angry and upset about certain things, but
Every city has that.
yeah,
you
as
know?
long as they're respectful. I mean, they totally understand that sometimes people get upset. But I also have found this incredible canvas that we can really move the city forward. I find here in Clearwater that you know, we have a very beautiful city. We have it's incredibly well maintained by city staff, and but when you look at like St. Pete and Dunedin and, you know, some other of the smaller towns, they made a tremendous amount of progress from 2000 on, say. And I think that Clearwater is now poised to do the exact same thing. We've got to diversify our economy. We've got to attract and really develop our identity. You know, people throw around the idea of a tech hub, but there's a lot of things that, like bioscience. You know, bioscience to me is one of those areas in which I really worked hard on to attract a new graduate school in Portland, Maine, when I was there. And so I think there are any number of concentrated areas that we could really help develop Clearwater into being one of those areas in which you go for X, Y, or Z. And it cannot just be retail and tourism.
Right.
We have to diversify, in order to grow the city.
Absolutely.
And why is that? Why is that?
Because, it's, whether we want to admit it or not, robotics and artificial intelligence are going to have major impacts on retail in the future. And the jobs that we all see posted today, to work at, you name it, restaurant, many of those jobs are going to go away in the not so distant future due to robotics and artificial intelligence. And so I want to be the city that actually develops the robots that also is working on AI and all kinds of like bioscience I mentioned earlier. So those are the kind of the jobs of the future, if you will. Actually, they're not even so much the
That's
future.
right. They're here now.
They're
Yeah,
here
they're here
now.
Well, if we have a hurricane, if we have a pandemic, you have to have some diversity to have those revenue streams to keep coming into function.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise the wheels just come to a stop.
Right.
Well, and it's also, we need people to be able to go to those restaurants.
That's right.
We need, and not just tourists. And so creating a vibrant downtown. Also addressing chronic issues in our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Those this morning, we met as the city council met, and I mentioned that we have 211 sidewalks that are in some state of disrepair, and these have been very long-standing issues. And so I'm fortunate that I get to work with a really good team here in Clearwater, and we've got a plan in place to fix all of the sidewalk issues over the next 4 months to 6 months.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's so being able to do that and address those chronic neighborhood issues, but also I mentioned this morning of working with the Church of Scientology in a much more productive way and kind of putting the past behind us, and I think I mentioned, and I believe this passionately, that I'm not encumbered with the past. I'm new, I have fresh eyes, but I'm also, I'm not naive to the issues. I understand the anger that some people have toward the church, but I also know that the church does own a tremendous amount of property. If you took away the Church of Scientology and it was, say, Marriott Corporation, I would be doing backflips to be able to work with them because they want to invest in our downtown.
Right.
And that's really where I hope we can get to as a city. And, regardless of what you believe of them as a church, my job is to really work with them for the best in the best interest of the city. And what I mean by that is it's really they're like a real estate development company that I'm working with.
Yeah.
So, my faith told me long ago that I'm an imperfect person. And so therefore I'm not someone who's given the opportunity to judge anyone.
The last perfect person died 2,000 years ago.
Exactly.
Right? There you go.
And we study him, and at least in my faith, we study him every week, every Sunday. And
well, I hear you. You got to be pragmatic, and you can only howl at the moon so many times in so many years. And Scientology is an entity that's here. They're not going to pick up and leave. They have deeds of their property, and it makes perfect sense to work with them whenever possible and however possible. Ed, did you want to say something?
I just want to add that I think Scientology is what it is, but what they're here, they're in the community. I think they did a fantastic job during Halloween. I saw probably a couple of hundred kids on Fort Harrison there, and every place there was open. Had some black lights going. They were dressed up. They had treats for the kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They did a great job with that. And then on the corner of Drew, of course, they've got the Winter Wonderland that's going on right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great thing. There's plenty of parking and whatnot. And I like John said, I think let's let things go.
Yeah.
Maybe we can hit the reset button a little bit here.
Yep.
We're still aware of the issues, but let's hit the reset button for the best of all of us right now.
And I've been fortunate that I was able to meet with Mr. Miscavige 2 weeks ago. And I've spoken with him practically every other day since then. He calls me and we've had very productive conversations. And he is fully committed to working with the city in developing the downtown and filling those shops and everything else. But, he strongly wants a piece of property that the city owns, and that is something that has been kind of that
contention,
the contentious relationship since 2017. And we've got to figure out a way to put that behind us and move forward, because honestly, we're not going to move forward unless we move forward in a partnership with them.
Absolutely.
But we're going to take a short break and see if you can answer this question. Do most people button their shirts starting at the bottom or the top? The answer right after this.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
In 1955, the law firm now known as Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes made a decision. Instead of taking whatever cases came through their doors, they decided to focus specifically on personal injury. 64 years later, the law firm is one of Clearwater's longest-running personal injury firms. Available 24 hours a day with offices in Clearwater and throughout Tampa Bay, they're ready to put decades of experience to work for you if you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or injured due to someone's negligence or recklessness. If you feel overwhelmed, uncertain, or unsure about your next steps after being involved in an accident or after a loved one sustained serious injuries due to someone else's negligence, call Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes at 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. That's 727-796-8282 or online at usalaw.com. Non-attorney spokesman. Do you know what a truly special blog is? It's a website that's rated as one of the best in Florida, chock full of fantastic articles, humor, videos, and hundreds of cool pictures. So what blog is creating all that buzz? It's ColorfulClearwater.com, a blog on the internet created by Kelly Kelly. In only its second year, ColorfulClearwater.com is gaining in popularity every day due to its original writing and original videos and photography. It's updated several times per week with fresh content and includes everything about the color, culture, and vibrancy of Clearwater's citizens and businesses. Even though it covers just one city in Florida, ColorfulClearwater.com nonetheless is already outperforming blogs promoting tourist destinations and major sports teams. Hey, see for yourself. Give a visit to ColorfulClearwater.com and make it your source of enlightening insights and entertainment. That's ColorfulClearwater.com.
Shop the largest selection of Guy Harvey apparel, artwork, and gift items at GuyHarvey.com. From the world-renowned marine wildlife artist, the Guy Harvey online shop features the latest in performance apparel, classic Guy Harvey t-shirts, decor for every room in your home, exquisite ocean-inspired jewelry, and unique gift items, including custom merchandise not available anyplace else. Browse an extensive catalog of original Guy Harvey works of art and a full range of beautiful reproductions. As with all Guy Harvey merchandise, a percentage of sales benefits the ocean conservation, research, and education work of the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation. The Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation will help ensure that future generations can enjoy and benefit from a well-balanced ocean ecosystem. Bring the undersea world into your everyday life at GuyHarvey.com.
Clearwater is bright and beautiful, and Amplify Clearwater is here to serve and lead. For over 400 years, chambers of commerce around the world have been champions of free enterprise, job creation, and community response. Representing over 800 businesses in every type of industry, the work of Amplify Clearwater is broad, diverse, and dynamic. We gather insight from across our community in order to meet the needs of our employers citywide while helping shape the Clearwater of tomorrow. We need your input to help support our community and grow our economy. We have opportunities in a variety of categories, from visitor experience to public policy, special events, and more. Come be a part of these exciting initiatives with Amplify Clearwater by contacting us at 727-461-0011 or by visiting us online at www.amplifyclearwater.com today.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Thank you for listening to the Kelly Kelly Show.
You almost missed your cue.
I'm Kelly Kelly. I'm here with my husband and better half, Doug Kelly.
Darn right.
And before the break, Doug asked if most people button their shirts starting at the top or bottom of the shirt. And the answer, a survey showed that most people button their shirts starting at the bottom.
That don't make any sense.
It doesn't.
I don't believe it.
I've never once buttoned my shirt from the
No.
bottom.
I don't either.
How about you, Ed?
What about you, Ed?
I was going to say, some survey, we got three guys right here that all say the same
I
thing.
know.
Top to bottom.
I know that.
I know
that.
it. All right.
But
Well,
hey, but artificial intelligence and a robot could replace you, you know.
Yeah.
So you better be careful.
we're chatting with John Jennings, the new city manager for the city of Clearwater, who previously served in that role for the city of Portland, Maine. And we skipped a question that I want to know. What's your favorite Christmas song?
Oh, it goes back to my childhood, White Christmas. My mom and we used to watch the Bing Crosby, the movie. It's actually not White Christmas. It's I forget the name of the movie.
Bing Crosby?
Yeah, it's
Like, was it with Bob Hope or?
no, it was Bing Crosby and Danny
Kaye?
and
Oh yes. That's a
Rosemary Clooney.
that was the movie where he sang White
Right,
Christmas, but
exactly.
that's not the name of the movie.
Exactly, but that
Right.
so my mom loved the song White Christmas.
Oh, me
and so
too. It's
that
my
was
favorite.
the yeah.
That's also my favorite. That's pretty cool.
That's great. Okay, so it's your cue.
Well, do you have a vision as yet as to where the city of Clearwater will be in, say, 5 years, or is that too far out in terms of economics and population growth?
I've been here a month, so I've
You're
definitely
supposed to have all the answers, John.
Well, I know, but
This is very disappointing.
it's also not. Yeah, well, it's
know.
also not for me to decide. It's really for
The council.
all of us. Well, no, actually, the community.
The community, yeah.
You know, the council plays a pivotal role, but the community really ultimately will decide kind of our direction. And you know, we as city staff and certainly the council, we can attract industry, we can bring in kind of new ideas, we can set the stage, if you will, with the community. But I have found that, at least in my career, when you bring people along and they have a voice, you know, in the process, that it becomes a much more manageable endeavor in terms of where we go. So,
Gotcha.
you know,
that makes sense.
yeah.
Maybe jumping the gun a little bit. You've only been in the saddle for a month.
Just give me another month
Yeah.
and I'll have all the answers.
Yeah, then you'll be ready.
All right.
I gotcha.
So that's a good lead-in. How would you describe your management style?
Collaborative. You know, I going back to Red Auerbach, when I was with the Celtics, there were 13 people who worked in the front office, and of course I was on the basketball side, and really truly we were a family. I mean, to this day, we all stay in touch. I mistakenly decided to run for Congress from my home state of Indiana. One of the dumbest things I've
So
ever
you
done.
retired early from politics?
Yeah, definitely. But you know, Red flew to Indiana to campaign for me.
No kidding.
You know, as a
That's family.
You know, yeah. And so for me, the kind of the management side of things, and the leadership is really focused on, you know, really creating the sense of family and that we're kind of all in this together. And my job is to support and protect the staff at every level that work for the city of Clearwater, and but also push them sometimes out of their comfort zone. And you know, that is kind of the process that we've started. Is we have an incredibly talented city staff, they have a lot of terrific ideas, but maybe they haven't always been allowed or asked to bring those ideas to the fore. And so that's really when I talk with staff, regardless of what they do, so I always tell them, I want innovative ideas. I want to know what we can do, because some of the best ideas I've ever had were brought forward by staff at the grassroots level. Not the leadership, not the managers, but the people who are actually out there doing the work. And so
that's great to get their perspectives.
Oh, well, and especially on the safety side of things, they can give you the real world analysis of what they need to be able to do their jobs in a safe environment. So, I think that's really kind of the way. I've never been a top-down person. I certainly don't micromanage. I like to empower people to
autonomy.
Yeah, I really do. And then if your team isn't functioning the way you want them to do, then sometimes you have to make changes.
You can't be afraid to.
No, you really can't.
It's tough. It's tough. What time do you normally begin and end your day?
Well, I always wake up. It's definitely, I never sleep past 5 a.m. And I've tried and I've tried.
Wow.
And I don't know, there's something in my brain that just wakes me up at least at 5. Most of the time it's before that. And then I try to, I actually don't try. I read every night. Normally, because I'm an old man now, and I climb into bed around 9. I just can't run with or soar with the eagles the way I may have done back in my 20s or 30s. But so I climb into bed and read, and usually fall asleep around 10.
Are you familiar with my books that I've read?
No, I'm sorry, I'm not.
They've been endorsed by the National Insomniac Association. So let me know if you're having any trouble dozing off, and I'll be glad to forward one of my books to you.
So you're in bed by 10.
Yes.
You're asleep by 10.
By 9.
Try to. Well, I'm in bed by 10.
So what time do you get to the office if you get up at 5? You're not in the office that early, right?
No. I, in fact, take a lot of time. I love reading. And
what do you like to read?
Mostly historical biographies. I was lucky, again, kind of the crazy life I've led. I was selected to be a White House fellow, and so I was able to work at the White House during the Clinton administration. And so I've always had this passionate love for presidential history. And so to have been there, to have worked for the president, to also work at the Department of Justice during my tenure in Washington. So I read a lot of I'm really into President Grant at this point, because I think he's been maligned in history. And so I've been reading a lot of President Grant.
Now, did you meet Clinton?
Oh, almost every day.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
How cool.
So,
Tell us about that. I mean, some good ones.
Yeah.
G-rated stories.
So I was I was selected to be a White House fellow in the summer of 1997. And a White House fellow, Colin Powell, had been probably the most famous White House fellow, and
Secretary of State.
Exactly. Yeah. A truly great American. And so when I was at the Kennedy School of Government, one of my professors had been a White House fellow, and he had suggested I apply for the program. And it's really a prestigious
it's got to be a great experience.
So I never thought in my wildest dreams they would pick a basketball coach.
Isn't that wonderful? Wow.
So they did, and I went to Washington, and I worked in the Office of Cabinet Affairs, which is a White House office. We were responsive to all the cabinet departments, and I worked for Thurgood Marshall Jr. He was my boss.
Supreme Court?
At the White House. Yeah, his father was the Supreme Court Justice. And so because President Clinton is a huge basketball fan, and Mrs. Clinton actually had written about a foundation that I helped create in Boston in her book, It Takes a Village. So I kind of knew a little bit like her and her staff, and eventually met the president. Not long after I started, but in January, I think it was February of 1998, during my fellowship year, the president invited me to go to the opening of what was then the MCI Center, and it's the basketball arena in Washington, D.C. I think it's called the Verizon Center now. And the Washington Wizards were playing the Chicago Bulls. So he invited me to go. I sat in the box.
That is really cool.
But what I did was I put together a scouting report of both teams like I used to do, for the Celtics, and I gave it to him. And so, he was really fascinated by it, I charted their offense and, their tendencies and so we were actually in the owner's box that owned the Washington Wizards, and I wasn't terribly complimentary in my scouting report of the Washington team. And so the president let the owner read.
Oh no!
So I kind of snuck out. So I was like, yeah. So now it's
there, right?
Yeah. But one of the most engaging human beings,
I've heard he's
if
very
not
personable.
the most engaging person I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, I've
just
heard that.
really putting aside all of the politics. It was
I've
just
heard he's
amazing.
in person. He's quite an interesting and engaging person. I've never met him, but I've heard that.
And brilliant.
Yeah,
I mean, really.
yeah.
So.
What do you like doing on your time off, besides going
Time
to basketball?
off.
What's that,
time,
right?
Yeah, time off. I mean, yeah. I was like, believe it or not, I'm a huge Miami Dolphins fan.
Oh, yes.
And I have been a Dolphins fan since I was 8 years old. Bob Greasy went to Purdue University,
That's
which is
true.
in Indiana.
Yeah.
And so I became a Dolphins fan back in 1970. And
Just before the perfect season.
Exactly.
2 years before. Yep.
actually, the most devastating day that I remember in my life was January 23rd, I think it was, which was the day the Dallas Cowboys beat the Dolphins 24-3.
Yeah.
I still remember that like it was yesterday.
Tragic. There was no
yeah,
contest.
that was ridiculous.
But then the Marino, after that, you had the Marino years.
Yep.
I mean, he was one of the greats of all time.
Right.
And they're having a comeback this year.
Well, and so I just bought season tickets.
Oh.
It was a lifelong dream to be a season ticket holder for the Miami Dolphins. So I moved here, bought season tickets, and then got the Florida license plate that is the Dolphins license plate.
Oh, that's cool.
awesome.
So I'm sure I'll get, maybe Ed will be spray painting my car or something because I'm not a Bucks fan. But
Yeah, you'll become one. You'll become one. I was a
No.
Dolphins fan. I still am because I
You just
Miami.
don't say it very often.
I don't say it, but I am a converted Bucks fan. There's no doubt about that. But in the remaining time, we're going to subject you to our soon-to-be-forgotten Make a Choice game. And John, it's Kelly and I are going to give you a series of 2 items. You tell us your favorite. Simple as that. You ready?
I think
Here we go.
Okay.
I'm a little worried about this. one.
Nah.
No, nothing. Smooth peanut butter or crunchy peanut butter?
Oh, crunchy peanut butter any day.
Okay.
I used to be crunchy. I'm a smoothie
Oh my
now.
goodness,
Donald Duck or Mickey Mouse?
Mickey,
Mickey.
I'm a Donald Duck fan. And
you might be
we're
the
awesome.
only one.
You're
I
awesome.
I
Yeah.
can't talk like him though.
Razor or electric shaver?
Razor.
Okay.
All right. Shemp or Curly?
What?
The Three Stooges.
Oh,
Which one is Shemp? That's the straight-haired
He's the
one.
one with the hair.
You're a little
Curly's
older
the one
than
without
us.
any hair.
Yeah.
I got to go with Curly.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
everyone. Ed,
Wasn't Shemp related to DeMoe
I think he
after
was.
Curly had left or something? It's always got to be Curly.
It's one of those. I never really got into the Three Stooges.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Well, it's
Kind of before our time.
time. Thanks a lot. Just go ahead and
I was
age
kind
him.
of say. I would thank you for saying that, Kelly, because I was thinking of that. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
They're called reruns.
I already figured out we're the same
I'm
age.
ancient. I'm ancient. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Salad or soup?
Depends on the soup.
And the soup, right.
Okay.
Clam chowder
Oh, well,
every
of course,
day.
Of course.
Yeah.
Being from up there, I would say so. Dawn or dusk?
Well, we already know that. right?
Yeah, dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we see very many dawns. do
No, we haven't. We're
not too
going to
many.
bed when he's getting up.
Not quite, but
Edison or Tesla?
Edison.
Okay.
have you ever been to Fort Myers to see his? He's got a house down there where he used to live part of the time, and he's got a lot of his inventions and stuff. It's great if you get a chance to go down there and do the museum.
The PBS special on Tesla was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Edison still is, even though he gets accused of stealing everyone's ideas.
Yeah, well, Mac or PC?
PC.
Yeah, I'm a Mac. I've got both.
You do.
Yeah, but you're a PC. I'm a Mac. Okay.
Beatles or Rolling Stones?
Oh, I would say the Stones just because I've seen them like 10 times.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's
That's
cool.
got to be neat. That
Yeah.
kind of performance.
Yeah, I love,
Mick Jagger. I mean,
Bruce Springsteen is my all-time.
Well, okay. Have you
Cool.
seen that
That's
concert
interesting.
too?
Springsteen?
Yeah.
I've seen Springsteen over 50 times.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
50
fan.
times.
That's
You're a
super
roadie.
fan.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, no. That's like the Holy Grail.
All right.
So,
Gone with the Wind or Casablanca?
Casablanca.
That's got to be one of the great
The
films.
greatest.
It's just so perfect. I mean, there's so many iconic lines from that. It's just phenomenal.
Well, and I actually, Billy Wilder, actually met him.
The
his
director.
Yeah, in his he came to Boston and gave a lecture, and I met him after the lecture.
Amazing.
Okay, so I don't write these. Bar soap or body wash?
Bar soap.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still a bar
He's a bar guy.
soaper too. Led, what do you do? Do you body wash or soap?
No.
Okay.
No.
The
No.
answer is just no.
No.
I call that
No.
shampoo.
Okay. All right. Our last.
Do you use soap, or is that what's it?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
I tried to.
was like-
I
Don't
tried
go into the
to.
control room, okay? All right. Last question. It's always our toughest. I'm kind of
Yep.
going to put you on the spot,
Okay.
but you're just going to have to handle it. You ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Larry Bird or Magic Johnson?
Larry Bird. That one was easy.
That was a setup, wasn't it?
Yes.
That's very good. Well, it's been fun having you on the show, John. Really, it's been great.
Well, thank you so much. This has been so much fun, and
Yeah.
it was great to meet you both a few weeks ago. And I look forward to coming back if you'll have me. Hopefully,
Sure.
the ratings of this show will skyrocket, and
Oh,
you'll want
my
me
gosh.
back. So
I'm sure they
It's
will.
gonna, we're going to be swamped with emails and letters, and there's probably a line right outside the door
oh,
right
absolutely.
now.
I'll be doing autographs
I
late
don't
into
blame
the
you.
evening.
I don't blame you. That's
Clearwater
pretty
PD is running traffic right now.
cool. That's right.
right.
That's it. Okay.
We'd like to thank our guest today, John Jennings.
That's right. And Kelly, I think it's just about time that we wrap things up too. Why don't you give us our verse? We do a verse every week at the end of the show.
Bible verse,
Okay.
Isaiah 66:12. I will extend peace to her like a river, and the wealth of nations like a flooding stream.
That's very true. And do remember this: if you have to choose between two evils, pick the one you've never tried before. All right. Well, thanks for listening today. Please remember to join us every Monday, same time, same station for the Kelly Kelly Show. Until then, be kind to yourself and even kinder to others.